In today's video, you are going to discover the secrets behind the math behind the clients. So many of us really don't understand what it costs to get a client, what a client's worth, and we're going to dive into that. That little lever can be the difference between a $100,000 a year cleaning business and a $100,000 a month business. It's one of those foundational things. If you get right at the beginning, it just makes everything so easy. And if you get it wrong, things can feel frustrating and you don't even know why. So the secret weapon, spoiler alert, I'm going to give it away, cleaning companies, is recurring revenue. We're going to dive in what kind and how to get it and how to calculate it, all that good stuff. So big picture, if you've been paying attention to business or a business nerd like I am for the last 10, 20 years, you've noticed, because it used to be some businesses just make sense to be recurring and some businesses are one time. If you look at all the larger businesses, Netflix, Massage Envy is a perfect thing, right? When I was a kid, if you wanted a massage, you'd book an appointment, you go in, you pay the guy, and that would be that. Now Massage Envy, it's $100 a month and you get a free one or whatever and 20% off, or I don't know their deal, but it is recurring. I don't know. I'm guessing 90% of their businesses members, not, that Costco even, right? You got to pay $500 a year, whatever it costs just to go in and shop. The Joint, right? Used to be, you needed a chiropractor, you had to get a thing from the doctor, you'd go in and, whatever. And he'd be like, you got to come 3 times a week forever. And then you do it for twice and whatever. Now with a Joint, $59 or sorry, Joint, I don't know what your prices are, but X amount per month, you probably get 1 or 2, whatever. It's Amazon. You can't even buy a gut dang Coke. You go to buy a 6-pack of Coca-Cola. Like, would you like us to deliver a 12-pack every week? You'll save 5%. Everything is going. My wife got recurring service for our showers, for crying out loud. It was a shower head. It was like $100. I don't know what it costs, but the filters, you need a new filter every 3 months, and I guarantee you, the filter's a 38-cent filter. We pay $19 and it comes every gosh darn month. Recurring. All right. That's just kind of big picture. Let's really drill down on what that looks like with a cleaning company. So we're going to make a couple assumptions just so we can do some math and you get a good idea. I've been coaching this space for a decade, thousands of clients, or over 1,000 clients have personally coached it, whatever. I promise these numbers are pretty representative for 2025 in the cleaning industry. So we're going to make some assumptions. First, let's just figure leads cost $50. I know you can get free leads for repeat and referral. Some leads can be $200 and worth it. I got it. We're just going to go with $50. It's a decent average. We're also going to assume that your cost to perform, we call it COGS, cost of goods sold, your cost to perform the service, the actual, what you pay your labor, the payroll taxes, workers' comp, all that, we're going to call that half. We actually coach to 45%, but it makes the math hard in this situation, so we're just going to figure it's half, all right? Also going to assume that an average one-time clean is $600. I know some are more, some are less. I got it. And we're also going to assume the average recurring client is $400. So again, having done a bunch of this, those are pretty representative numbers. Oh, we're also going to assume churn. We coach to a 3% a year on the residential side, 2% for commercial, which is still 36%, more than a third of your clients leaving every year. Not great, but with residential, there's churn. We're going to figure 4% churn, right? So you lose 48% of your clients a year. I'm talking monthly churn. So with those assumptions, let's kind of just do a little bit of, let's just play out a story and see the difference between different clients. So, by the way, 4% churn means clients stay 25 months if you just do the math. All right, so let's just walk through this. One-time client, $600, cost of goods sold half, $300. That's $300 left over, but you got to pay $50 for the lead, right? That leaves you with $250. So, and again, you still have the overhead and profit and all that good stuff. Cool. So we got $250 off a $600 sale. Nicely done. Now let's look at a recurring client. It's only $400 a month, right? A little smaller, but it's $400 a month, not just one time. And if you get a 4% churn, which is not like some spectacular, it's actually pretty high. That means the average lifetime value is about 25 months. So $400 times 25, that's 10 grand, right? Now, if we take half of that for cost of goods sold, we got to pay the labor. Well, that only leaves 5 grand. Cool. And don't forget the $50 for the lead. That's $4,950 gross profit off of that, or 20 times 2,000%, 20 times the value, the one-time client. And when you go to sell a one-time versus a recurring, the work's almost exactly the same, right? So when it comes to money and just how we look at it, if you pick up 10 clients a month and they're one time, it can feel like you're doing a bunch of work because for the first month, it's exactly the same amount of work. It's actually more because you got to go sell it again next month or the month after and the month after. That's really not going to build a business. You probably won't even get it to 100 grand a month, but if you get 10 recurring clients a month, you'll have $1 million business at some point, right? Like it is a huge difference. So not only is just so again, this foundation, if you don't sell recurring, it's going to be most people, if they're not at $1 million, that's their big goal. I know nobody, having done this a decade and coached thousands of owners, I don't know any $1 million companies that don't have lots and lots of recurring revenue in the cleaning industry. Okay, so now that we understand some of the math in terms of why it's such a big deal, again, 20 times more valuable and 0 times harder to sell. Let's talk about what we can spend to acquire a customer. This is another thing people get really fuzzy on. If we're honest, they don't even track what they're spending to get a customer. If they do track it, well, they don't even track it. If they do track what they're spending on advertising, they don't track their cost per lead, cost per bid, cost per sale by source. So they've got kind of general information, and they end up saying things like, I don't advertise, Mike. I've grown completely by repeat and referral. I've heard that literally 1,000 times, and I've asked 1,000 times, cool, are you at your revenue goal? And I don't think I've ever, I'm sure at some point I've heard a yes, but of the 1,000, I recall 0. Yes, I'm so happy with it, right? They're almost always coming to me going, I need more clients. I'm not growing like I want to. And I go, cool, what's your marketing plan? And they get all proud and go, I don't spend any money on marketing. I've grown by repeat and referral. So if you're getting where you want with repeat and referral, you don't need any of this. If you're getting where you want, find a different video. However, if you're like, no, I'm not getting the revenue goals that I want, this is the right spot. So most of the time we stay with repeat and referral because we don't understand the marketing math. We maybe have tried marketing and it quote unquote didn't work. But most of the time when I ask clients who said, I spent a bunch of money, here are my quotes on the a bunch, spent a bunch of money on marketing and more air quotes, it didn't work. When I say, what does that mean? The guys just spent a ton of money, I didn't get any leads. And I go, what's a ton of money, right? $1 million, $400 million, $409. Okay, $400. So not a bunch of money, $409. Got it. And exactly how many leads did you get? I didn't get any leads. And then if we go through their CRM and find it, they did get some leads. They just didn't like them. I didn't follow up on the guy. And they start getting all excuses of why there were no good leads. So what happens is it goes from I spent a bunch of money on marketing, it didn't work, to I spent $409 on marketing, I got 12 leads. And then usually we go and I actually did get a sale. They just forgot about it or didn't connect the thing. So we start getting the data, the drama of what they feel about marketing is completely different than the data. So then they just don't market, or they do market and it doesn't make any money. And here's the thing, guy or gal, if you do marketing and let's say you do spend $409 and you don't get a single customer, that's not unusual. That's not crazy. I'm not saying that never happens. It happens all the time. You did buy the data, right? So if you didn't get the customer, all you got was the data. So if you just go, I quit, this is a scam, well, now you've taken your $409 with data and thrown it right in the garbage, right? So we can go with any ad source, but we'll try like Facebook ads, right? First you've got to do an ad, and the ad's going to get clicks or not clicks, right? Or clicks for $1 or $5 or $10. Once you do the ad, you've got to see if they click on the landing page, right? And the ad's got copy and it's got visuals. You've got to test both of those. Got a call to action. Is it to direct message you, or is it to go to a landing page? Or is it to make a call? So there's 3 things, there's lots of things, the offer, the copy, there's lots of tests on the ad, right? So certain ads, maybe we start with an ad and clicks are $20 each. And then we're like, that didn't work. But we learned, we spent $400, we got 20 clicks, we learned this ad stinks. And maybe we spend another $400 and we get the ad. Now clicks are only $6 each. So we get people to say we're doing a website instead of DM. We get people to our website and we get, 80 leads to our website, but only like 3 clicked on the scheduling or whatever the call to action was. Okay. So now, and I say the website, I really mean landing page. So then we tweak the landing page. So do you see how every time we spend money, we typically, when you start doing this for a little bit, you'll actually start making money. It's great. But if you're not tracking, you have no chance to know. It just feels in your gut like you're getting screwed. But if you start tracking, you'll either get data so you can start winning, or you'll get clients and you'll always get the data. But if you don't do anything with the data, you paid for the dance, you just didn't go in. All right. So now that we've got that, let's talk through what you can, assuming you're tracking, which is found. If you're not tracking, none of this is going to help. And it's really not hard to track. Just like, how much should I spend? How many clients did I get? Super, doesn't have to be fancy. So the big rule of thumb is if you can get a client for the first month revenue, you win. Right? So if your average client on the residential side is $400 and you get a client for $400, you did great. On the commercial side, say you get a $3,000 client, you're like, you want me to spend $3,000 to get a client? Well, guess what? Churn on commercials like 2%. So that means that client's typically going to stay like 50 months. So $3,000 times 50, what's that? $150,000. Yeah, you can spend $3,000 to get that client. It works out great. So let's just do the residential math because it's a little easier for everybody. Let's say average client's about $400. You've spent $400 to get get that client we talked about, average churn's like 3%. We're going to figure 4, just say you're struggling there. They stay for 25 months. So if you spend $400 to get a $400 client that stays 25 months, you get a 25 to 1 ROI. And if you're like, well, hold on, Mike, I don't get to keep all. I get half that to the cleaners. Cool. You still get a 12.5 to 1 ROI, which is fantastic. So the big thing I want you to get with, so the answer to the question, how much can I and should I spend on marketing? Well, you can definitely spend more, but as long as you're getting clients for less than what you spend, as long as the first month of revenue is less than what you spend, your ad budget's unlimited, right? If you go to ATM, and again, remember we worked it out, your gross profit, if your churn is 4% or less, your gross profit is 12.5 times what you spend. If you put $1 in an ATM and you got $12.50 out, how many dollars would you put in that, right? You'd have an unlimited, like, what's my budget for that? It's unlimited, right? It's only limited when you're putting money in, you don't get it back out. So the cool thing is, if you track your data, you can do this. And when everyone else is freaking out going, marketing doesn't work, they don't track their data. Not only do you know that marketing can work, but you know what you can spend. And can you spend more than the first month to get a client? Absolutely. It's just you have to think about it, right? You can't just spend it wantonly, right? So typically we're going to coach our clients to do about 8% of their revenue on marketing. Can be a little more, can be a little less. But for any of our clients who are like, hey, I spent $3,000 last month on recurring revenue, not one-time revenue. I spent $3,000 last month on recurring revenue, and I got $3,800 in recurring revenue, $3,800 in new, we call it MRR, monthly recurring revenue. If you're spending 30% of your budget, that's fine. Because again, if you have that ATM that spits out $12.50 over the next couple of years for every dollar that you put in, or you put $1 in, it gives you $1 back out pretty quickly, and then you get another $1 for the next 25 months. How many dollars? What's your budget for that? It's infinite. So here's the big thing I want you to take away. One, if you don't have your data, none of this helps you and you're kind of stuck. Two, you're going to either buy leads and money, which is great, or you're going to buy data, which isn't as good. But if you're going to pay for it, you might as well, gosh darn, use it and start making decisions based on that data. And the big mindset shift, once you are tracking and you know what you can spend, first month revenue, you can spend up to that without even thinking about it in marketing. I'm not saying you can't spend more. That would just be like, we got to talk about it because now we have cash flow. It's still going to make you money long term, but we don't want you to go not have enough cash today, right? So if you're spending, by the way, the vast majority of our clients are getting clients for less than what they spend. So it's not like something that's a crazy, impossible dream. So once you're able to do that, once you're able to track, you know what you can spend on a lead, whatever your average client cost is, you can spend that much, as long as it's a recurring client, you can spend that much, and you know that you're doing it, you can spend all you want. So here's the trick. The mindset most owners of cleaning companies have that's keeping them broke is whoever can spend the least amount of money to get a customer is going to be successful. It's actually the opposite, right? If you think marketing doesn't work and you only go on repeat referrals, but I know I get clients that are $500 a month and they stay 25 months and I'm willing to spend $500 to get a client and we're competing, who do you think is going to win? I'm going to absolutely eat your lunch. I crush you. So if you're going to take one big kind of mic drop aha moment from this, shift the mindset from whoever spends the least on marketing wins, which makes sense, right? If I can grow and get the customers I want and spend little or no money on marketing, I should do that, which is 100% true. If you're growing at the speed that you want, just on repeat referrals are higher, much better quality clients than the dadgum ones you're going to pay for, but you might get 0 to 6 in a month, whereas you can get 1,000 leads paid. So yes, the paid leads are more expensive and they're lower quality, but there's not an infinite amount, but there's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000% more than you're going to get repeat and referral. So yes, 100% agree. Repeat and referral is the best way to go. And if you're happy with that growth, great. But if you want to win, if you want to own a market, if you want to grow fast, we got to switch from it's good to spend the least on leads to spend the most on leads. Perfect example. I've got clients that spend $1,500 a month on leads and they'll get $2,000 a month on clients, right? And they'll go, I want to do better. I want to see if I can take that $1,500 and get $3,000 a month in recurring clients. And I'm like, don't be crazy. Just spend more money, right? Again, you're going, I'm putting $1 in and I get $1 back today and then $1 every month for 12 and a half months. And you're like, how could I get that $12.50 to $14? Screw that noise. See, find a way to stuff more money into the goddamn ATM. Find another ATM. Like, let's put it all in. So the big shift I want you to make is there's really 3. One, go from, I know my numbers. If you don't know cost per lead, cost per bid, cost per sale by source, do that. So either I don't know the numbers and it's hard. It's not, I promise. Take an hour to figure it out. It's well worth it. So shift number 1, I'm going to track those are the key things: cost per lead, cost per bid, cost per sale by lead source. Number 1, I'm going to know that. Number 2, know what you can spend. And basically, if you just know your average client, which is super easy, count your total recurring revenue divided by the number of clients you got. That's your average client. Done and done. You can do it in 2 minutes. So 1, track your data. 2, know what you can spend to get a client. 3, as long as you're getting a client for what you can spend as much money as you can. Shift your mindset from the least amount of marketing to the most, right? We want to spend the least we can on liability insurance and still get good liability insurance, on software, on credit card processing. These we want to spend the least. On effective marketing, ATMs where we put $1 in and get 12 out, we want to spend as much as possible. All right, hopefully that's helpful. Again, small thing, but that small concept will be a big lever in your cleaning company. Go out there, kick some butt, and message me in the chat. Let me know how you're doing if you have any questions.